What if the most effective way to learn English taps into the same neural pathways triggered by fear, guilt, and bizarre desires? Stories make information 20 times stickier, a potent influence that bypasses logic. Much like the haunting guilt in The Telltale Heart or the disastrous wishes from the monkey's paw. Discover this strangely powerful method and why resisting the urge to try might be harder than you think. Welcome. If that sounds intriguing, unsettling, or just plain effective, you're in the right place. This video dives into the world of learning English through stories, a technique that works wonders whether you're a student needing engagement, a professional seeking fluency, or simply someone looking for a more enjoyable way to learn. We'll unpack why stories are so potent for language learning, explore different ways to use them, and share resources to get you started on this immersive journey. Stories do more than just entertain, they create a special connection. When you listen to or read a story, you connect with the characters, their feelings, and their world. This connection builds a sense of knowing and trust, making your mind more open and ready to learn. Think about it, a list of vocabulary words is just data, but hearing those same words used by characters in a compelling narrative makes them come alive. This method is incredibly effective because it speaks to different parts of us. Not everyone learns the same way. Maybe you're a visual learner, someone who needs to see things. Stories help you create mental pictures. Or perhaps you're an auditory learner, focusing on the sounds of words in the speaker's voice. Listening to stories is perfect for you. Then there are kinesthetic learners who learn best by feeling and doing. The emotions in a story, the joy, the sadness, the suspense, connect with these learners on a deep level. Storytelling truly offers something for every student. One of the biggest benefits is memory. Research shows that facts are much easier to remember if they're part of a story, maybe even 20 times more likely. Why? Because stories trigger our emotions. When we feel something, whether it's excitement, empathy, or even shock, the information sticks in our brains. It's far more engaging than just memorizing rules or lists. This emotional connection provides strong motivation to keep learning. Stories also give language a home. Learning grammar, rules, or vocabulary lists can feel abstract, like floating pieces. But in a story, you see how these pieces fit together. You see how sentences are built, how dialogue flows naturally between people, and how words change meaning depending on the context. You might notice irony, like in The Gift of the Mage, or feel the suspense built through word choice in The Telltale Heart. This context makes it much easier to understand and then use the language yourself. Engaging with stories helps improve a whole range of English skills. Obviously, reading stories improves your reading ability. Listening to audio versions or someone telling a story boosts your listening comprehension. Discussing the story afterwards, sharing your thoughts and opinions gives you valuable speaking practice. You might even feel inspired to try writing your own short narratives using the structures and expressions you've learned. It's a complete workout for your language abilities. It's important to understand that learning a new language is a process. It happens in stages. At first, you might be in a silent period, just listening and taking things in. Then you might start using short words and sentences. Over time, your speech becomes more frequent and complex. You move towards fluency, first in everyday social situations and later in more academic or complex topics. This journey requires time and patience, but using enjoyable methods like storytelling makes it feel less like work. Every ESL student goes through these stages at their own pace. So how can you start using stories effectively? Find stories that match your current English level. You should aim to understand maybe 70% of it, enough to follow along, but with some new words to learn. Try listening to a short story audio recording first without looking at the text. Focus on the sounds and rhythm. Then maybe look up a few key vocabulary words. Listen again. Finally, listen while reading the subtitles or a transcript. Repeat this a few times. This helps connect the sounds, the spellings, and the meaning. Choosing stories that genuinely interest you is key. If you love mysteries, find mystery stories. If you like romance, choose those. Your interest will keep you motivated. There are countless resources available. Look for graded readers, which are books written specifically for different language levels. Websites like Storynory or resources for ESL students often have short stories with audio. Even simple folk tales like The Gingerbread Man or myths like Fenris the Wolf can be great starting points, offering rich vocabulary and cultural insights. You can explore podcasts designed for language learners or use platforms that offer interactive captions on videos. Now let's touch on something suggested by our video titles. Stories about intense human experiences, secrets, regret, desire, even infidelity or shocking events can be incredibly gripping and compelling. Why might such stories be used for learning English? Because powerful emotions and high-stakes situations make narratives extremely memorable and engaging. When a story captures your full attention, whether through suspense, drama, or exploring taboo subjects, the language used in that story sinks in deeper. It becomes a vehicle for learning precisely because it's so immersive. You're not just reading words, you're experiencing a situation, making the vocabulary and sentences tied to that experience stick. The goal isn't the shocking content itself, but using the power of an absorbing narrative to make language learning more dynamic and effective. Of course, this raises questions. Does the specific theme of a story matter more than just how engaging it is? How can learners best use stories with difficult or sensitive themes in a healthy way? These are areas worth exploring further. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. If you found this exploration of learning English through stories helpful and intriguing, please give this video a like, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe for more amazing videos and opportunities to improve your language skills. Keep exploring the power of narratives.